So what you just learned about in the last video was the counter pattern. Increasing or decreasing numbers is a common and incredibly useful pattern in programming. So you can read through all of this every time you run the code. X equals X plus 1. X gets the value X plus 1, right? When we read this as equals, it doesn't make any sense. But if you read it as X gets the value of X plus 1, it makes a lot more sense because X is now receiving a value and it's whatever X was plus 1. So we use it to do stuff like this. You see hippo plus X plus Y, it's moving diagonally. Rabbit plus Y plus 2, or rabbit dot Y plus 2, sorry, is moving the rabbit down the screen, and pig dot X plus 2 is moving the pig across the screen. Other uses for the counter pattern: sprite rotation, sprite scales, making this one bigger, and width and height, adding 1 and subtracting 1 is changing the shape of this figure here. So watchers are a really useful tool for debugging programs that use the counter pattern. So read what the program will do. So it's going to make a pan here, right? We're setting the animation to pan. And then we are using a pale green background. Pan.rotation equals pan.rotation plus 1. So it's going to rotate a pan in the background. We can also look at this thing over here called the watch, which when we're running code, this is going to show up some numbers for us, and it's going to give us an idea of what's kind of happening in the background. If you remember the activity we did yesterday, it's going to be a little similar to that. So what you're seeing here, the pan is rotating. The pan.x property and pan.y, the x and y location, those are the same, right? The pan's not moving left and right or up and down. But pan.rotation, you can see in our watch counter here, is changing. It just keeps adding 1. And that's because pan.rotation, every time it runs through the loop, it's adding 1 to pan.rotation. So pan.rotation is increasing over time because every time it runs through the loop, it's having 1 added to it. And that is why this number keeps going up, because it keeps going plus 1, 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 which is pretty cool. So here, let's practice using watchers to debug your code. This program should move the motorcycle from the bottom left to the top right, like the image to the right. Unfortunately, the motorcycle moves off screen too quickly to see what's going wrong. Using the provided watchers for cycle.x and cycle.y, figure out which one is moving in the wrong direction to fix the program. So we run the program. And here we can see we want y, the x value, obviously, going to be increasing to the right. As we're moving up, right, we're going from y400 to y0. So we want the y value to go down. We want the y value to decrease. So we look here and we can see over time, you can watch x is increasing, right? It's 5,000, now it's 5,100, and so on. We want y to be decreasing, and we can see here in our watch, y is increasing, and that's not what we want to happen. So we need to find what is changing our y value, which is here on line 8 of our code. This is changing this right here, right? It's what's causing our code to kind of bug there. So if I change this, let's pull that whole thing out and let's do math, subtract, sprite dot y. So I want to do cycle dot y minus 10. And now when I run the code, it runs correctly. Level 11. Using the counter pattern, make all 3 of the fish move as the image to the right. The blue fish should move the fastest. The green should move the slowest. Very simple. So we can see our image on the right. Blue is fast, orange medium, green is slow. Notice when we run the code, the position of each fish is random, and that's because we have some random numbers here. That's okay. Whoops, don't do that. That's okay. We're going to leave that the way it is. It's down here that we want to change the code. So right now we have orangefish.x equals orangefish.x gets the value orangefish.x minus 2. And that is why when we run the code, orange fish is moving. So we want to create similar code for the blue fish and the green fish. So we're going to use sprite.x bluefish.x gets the value. We want to take whatever bluefish was, whatever it's starting as, even if it's random, take whatever it is. Oh my goodness. We want to subtract, sorry. Always add your math operators first. So we want on the left side of this bluefish.x, and we want it to be the fastest, right? We want it to move faster. So if we make this -5, we can watch it's moving faster, right? Because the number is bigger. Even though it's subtraction, the larger this value is, the faster it's going to move because it's decreasing by more. Every time you run through the code, orangefish.x is losing 2. Bluefish.x is losing 5. So bluefish.x is losing more, and it's losing it faster. So it's going to move faster across the screen. And then for the green fish, we're going to use sprite.x green fish equals, we're going to use subtraction again. So we want it to move to the left across the screen. Go back to our sprites, sprite.x, we're going to change this to green fish. We want it to be the slowest. So we're going to make that a lower number, a smaller number. And now this is moving a little faster, this is moving slower, and blue moves the fastest. Da-da-da! All right, last one for this video. And then I'll do a separate video on the last question. So I'll start over. This one's also a little complicated to explain. Then we might be getting close to the end of our 10 minutes. When you use the counter pattern for the rotation property with addition, the object will always rotate clockwise. Sometimes you want your sprite to rotate the other direction, counterclockwise, right? So this is clockwise here. Red is clockwise, green is clockwise. Blue is rotating the other direction in this picture, right? If you look at the top, this is kind of moving towards the right. This is moving towards the right. This one is moving towards the left, right? So we say this is clockwise, and this is counterclockwise. So let's take a look. We have blue gear, green gear, and red gear as our variable names. So before we draw our sprites, we already have our loop there. We want to be changing the rotation of each of these. So I'm just going to set up my dot rotations for each one. Let's do red gear, blue gear, and green gear. Red, we want moving clockwise, and green, you want moving clockwise. So if you think about it, that means you want to be adding to the value, right? As it said here, if you use addition, the object will always rotate clockwise. So red and green, we want addition. Blue, we want subtraction, because blue is going to move counterclockwise. So here, we're just going to do it really simple. Red gear dot rotation. You can type that in, or you can drag and drop. And that's going to be plus whatever value, 2 is fine. Here, and you can do it this way, sprite.rotation, blue gear dot rotation -2, and here, green gear dot. You see you can type, or you can drag and drop. Either way, it populates correctly, +2, and that will make it work. You can make it move a little faster by making all these values 3, or slower if you make them all 1. Doesn't really matter. All right, that's it for this video.